Once upon a time, a king and queen ruled over a castle. The queen was kind and lovely. The only sadness in the queen's life was that she wished for a child but did not have one. After some time, the kind queen got her wish when she gave birth to a baby girl who had skin as white as snow, lips as red as blood, and hair as black as ebony. They named the baby princess Snow White. But sadly, the queen died after giving birth to Snow White. Soon after, the king married a beautiful but very cruel woman. The new queen wanted to be the most beautiful woman in the kingdom. Each morning she would look into her magic mirror and ask, "Mirror, mirror, tell me now, who is the fairest one of all?" The mirror would always reply, "Oh Queen, you are the fairest one of all." A few years passed and Snow White grew more and more beautiful. When Snow White turned 16 years old, the mirror told the queen that Snow White is now the fairest of all. The evil queen ordered one of her hunters to take Snow White deep into the forest and kill her. The hunter was not a cruel man. When he looked at Snow White's innocent face, his heart moved with pity and he couldn't kill her. So he just left her there in the forest. Snow White was tired and hungry in the forest. Snow White became scared. After walking some distance, Snow White came to a small cottage. She knocked at the door. When there was no answer, she entered the small cottage. There was a table with 7 tiny chairs. On the table were arranged 7 plates, 7 cups, and 7 spoons. Snow White went upstairs where she found 7 little beds. She fell asleep on the beds. This little cottage was the home of 7 dwarfs. When they returned home that night, they were amazed to see a beautiful girl sleeping on their beds. After that, Snow White awoke to find 7 dwarfs looking at her. When she told them her sad tale, the dwarfs advised her to stay at their home so that she remained safe. The dwarf said to the Snow White, "You will just do the housework and cooking." Snow White gladly accepted and began to sweep the floor. During the day, while the dwarfs were away at work, Snow White was left alone. Dwarfs had advised her not to open the door to anyone. But Snow White was not really safe. The cruel queen again asked her magic mirror who was the fairest in the land. Again the mirror replied that the fairest is the one who lives in the house of the dwarfs, in the heart of the forest. The cruel queen learned that Snow White is still alive and decided to kill her. Furious to hear this, the queen swallowed a pill that turned her into an ugly old woman. Then she filled a basket of apples. She chose one rosy red apple and carefully injected poison into it. The ugly old woman then went to the cottage of the dwarfs and knocked at the door. Snow White became suspicious, so she didn't open the door. But out of curiosity, she opened the window. The cruel queen, in her disguise, offered Snow White the juicy red poisonous apple. Snow White foolishly took a bite and fell on the ground. The cruel queen laughed with delight and went away. When the dwarfs returned from their work, they discovered Snow White laying on the ground. She seemed to be in a deep sleep. They kept watch over her the whole night, and when morning came, she still lay without any sign of life. Thinking that she is dead, they placed her in a glass coffin and kept a watch over her. She placed a glass lid over the top so that all could admire her beauty even though she is dead. At that time, a handsome young prince rode by on his horse. He saw the princess in the glass coffin and was amazed by her beauty. He instantly fell in love with her. He opened the glass cover. It broke the magic spell, and Snow White opened her eyes again. She saw the handsome prince beside her and fell in love with him instantly. The seven dwarfs were surprised as well as happy. The handsome prince asked Snow White if she would marry him. Snow White was impressed by the young prince and agreed to marry him. The prince and Snow White went off on a magnificent white horse. They married and were happy for the rest of their lives. Snow White often went to the forest to visit her friends. Moral of this story: inner beauty is more important than outer beauty.